Ryan here. Today, talking about the San Francisco 49ers. In this one, doing my position edge for the game against the Seattle Seahawks happening this Sunday in San Francisco. Both teams are coming off losses. This is an important matchup for both teams, and also the Rams and Cardinals are playing together. This can have big ramifications for the division. I'm hoping we can come out with a win. Seattle, although they're 1-2, still a very dangerous team for the 49ers because, as you all know, if you're a Niner fan, we have no success against Seattle that much, minus the 2019 year where we won the NFC West. Should be an interesting one. I'm hoping that the 49ers can rebound after their heartbreaking loss to the Packers. I don't really want to talk about that. I'll talk about that tomorrow in the prediction video. Let's get this video started, but before I do, as always, please like and subscribe. That's going to definitely help me out a lot. Click that bell notification to get notified of future videos. Share this content with fellow Niner faithfuls. Have a new podcast out if you guys want to check it out. Link will be in the description below. TikTok page if you want to follow me there. Link will be in the description below as well. Let's just get this started. 49ers versus Seahawks. Who has the edge per position? First up, the quarterback position, Jimmy G, and I guess Trey Lance too, versus Russell Wilson. Who has the initial edge coming into this matchup? I think they're both great. Wilson, he can make stuff happen. Jimmy G, minus any crazy turnovers, he could be a great quarterback. Lance is another great package for the 49ers for right now, but he'll eventually be the starter, and I'll be saying Trey Lance versus Russell Wilson in a year or two. But if I had to give the initial edge, I have to give it to Russell Wilson because he's a playmaker. Every time you think you beat him, you don't beat him. That's happened quite a bit in the history of this matchup ever since Wilson's been drafted by them in 2012. I love me some Jimmy G. He's a great quarterback, minus even the somewhat bad performance that he had against Green Bay. Although he did have a nice clutch performance in terms of the last drive. I thought that was going to be the game-winning drive. But Wilson, he's just amazing, and he has a great record against the 49ers. I expect him to do really well against us, even though our great defense is good, except the secondary. Edge, Russell Wilson. Next up, the running back position, Niners versus Seahawks. Who am I going to give the initial edge to? Usually, I always give it to the 49ers, but I'm very concerned about the running game. I saw Trey Sermon take the majority of the carries, and it did not look great at all. It did not. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I mean, I love me some Sermon, but I don't know if he's too slow to get up in the tackles or something like that, but there's just something off about it. Maybe it's just his first game, getting the jitters out of the way, but at the same time, it was very concerning after watching the game against the Packers, and the Packers don't have the greatest defense in the world. It's not terrible after watching yesterday, but it's not an amazing one. A lot of concern coming into that. I'm hoping to get Jeff Wilson back very soon, and Elijah Mitchell, all those guys. Maybe this could be a caveat, but I'm just going to be assuming that Sermon's going to be the healthy guy coming in. Although, he is a pretty good blocker, I will say that. He had a nice block in the game yesterday. Seattle, they have Chris Carson, Travis Homer. Those are great guys, so I have to give the initial edge to them. Oh my gosh, not giving any edges to the 49ers. That sounds very unusual, but there you have it right there. I just think for right now, coming into the matchup, they're more talented than us, especially on offense. Maybe defense, I can give them more position edge. You'll find out in a second. But Seattle, they have a great team in terms of the running game, and they're even more healthier than the 49ers right now in that position. Edge, Seattle. Next up, the wide receiver position, 49ers versus Seahawks. Who am I going to give the initial edge to? I love me some Deebo Samuel. I love me some Ayuk. Ayuk finally made his great game performance in this matchup. Good news to hear. Seattle, they have DK Metcalf, great receiver for the most part. Tyler Lockett, he did have an injury scarce against the Vikings, but it's looking like from what everybody is saying over there that he's going to be healthy, probably ready to go for this matchup. So if I had to give the initial edge, I'm going to give it to those two guys in terms of that. Although Deebo, I think he's the better all-around receiver than everybody else because he can do everything in terms of the receiving game. He can do the running game as well, and he did a pretty good job against the Packers. He had that nice third down. I think it was almost the end of the first half where they went for the touchdown. That was amazing right there. Like, he barely caught it, and I forgot who was there. They tackled him, and he got the first down. That was cool right there. Even after all that, I'm still going to give it to Seattle because Metcalf and Lockett are very dangerous targets. And plus, they're playing our secondary. It's not the best secondary in the world right now, especially after watching the game against the Packers. I know this might be a prisoner of the moment issue, but the secondary has been a big concern even all year long. I'm giving the initial edge to Seattle right now for the wide receiver spot. Next up, the tight ends position, 49ers versus Seahawks. Who am I going to give the initial edge to? Always, I have to give it to George Kittle. If it's a Darren Waller or Travis Kelce, I'm always going to give the edge to George Kittle, and he was finally involved in the passing game more often. I wish they would use him even more because, shoot, he's like the winning machine, I guess you want to call it, for this team. He's the big X factor for the tight ends University, the teacher of that, one of the best in the NFL. That's all I could pretty much say. So edge, San Francisco. Next up, the offensive line, 49ers versus Seahawks. Who am I going to give the initial edge to? You know what? For this one, I'm actually going to still give it to the 49ers slightly because I still think they're a great offensive line. They did struggle yesterday against Green Bay, but I still like the O-line. They've been doing a really good job all season long, minus this game, and I think the way that they played in the Sunday night game, they're going to get even better and learn from it. That's all you can pretty much do if you're a loser, is to learn from your mistakes and improve upon it. And I think the 49ers offensive line will do a good job. Seattle's offensive line's been a little shaky for the past few years now. Russell Wilson, he's been having to do MVP style stuff because his O-line has been terrible for the most part. They haven't really been investing in that part. But you know what? If they get the job done, they get the job done. But I'm still going with the 49ers, led by Alex Mack and Trent Williams. They do a really good job, and they can pancake some people. Hopefully they do it this Sunday. So edge, 49ers. That's it for the offense. Let's get to the defense. Next up, defense. Let's talk about the defensive line first. Who am I going to give the initial edge between the Niners and the Seahawks? I have to give it to the 49ers in this one because I still like the defensive line. They did a really good job against Aaron Rodgers and company for the most part, although the all-line for them did a really good job. Surprisingly, I thought they were going to do absolutely terrible, but Nick Bosa was all over them in that game. That's all I got to pretty much say. Everybody else, they contributed big time, and you know they could probably go through Seattle's O-line, but Russell Wilson's the big X factor there. So if I'm looking for talent initially just for this video, I'm still going to give it to the 49ers, although they will have a tough time going against a mobile quarterback. But they did go up against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles a few weeks ago, so hopefully this is going to be a big refresher course on how to stop a mobile quarterback in Russell Wilson. Plus, they played him years now, so I'm hoping by now they can do a much better job in defending against the mobile quarterbacks, particularly Wilson in particular, because he's a great quarterback, and always give him props to him. He always causes trouble for me and everybody in the 49ers fan base and whatever. Defensive line, I'm still liking it. They have a lot of great talent there, led by Nick Bosa and company. Next up, the linebacker position. Who am I going to give the initial edge to? Bobby Wagner versus Fred Warner in particular. That's a very tough one. Both of them are considered the best in the NFL. Wagner, he's all over the place. Sure tackler. Fred Warner, the same thing too. I don't know. I mean, I wish I could give a tie for this matchup, but for me, I don't give ties. I have to give the initial edge to somebody because that's just who I am. But if I had to give the initial edge, I'm still going to give it to my man Fred Warner. I think he does great things for the 49ers. Right now, he's just killing it all season long, getting a lot of tackles and going side to side, getting guys. And Wagner, as much as I love him as a linebacker, he does really good things for Seattle. Still giving the slight edge to Fred Warner, but this one, you could really pick who you think is the better linebacker. If you're a 49er fan, I'm pretty sure you're going to say Fred Warner, like me. Or if you're a Seahawks fan, you're going to go with your boy Bobby Wagner. So, you know, this one is more of a tie, but I'm still picking my guy, Fred Warner. I still think he's the best linebacker in the NFL. Last up, defensive back. Who am I going to give the initial edge to between the Niners and the Seahawks? This one, I had to hands down give it to Seattle because San Francisco, I'm so concerned about it right now with Josh Norman being out in the game against Green Bay. I don't know if he's going to be available for the game against Seattle, but looking at the secondary, it was very concerning for the 49ers. Rodgers and Davante Adams was just able to carve up our secondary. Linebackers, defensive line, they did a great job, but everybody was getting torched. We got a lot of pass interferences. It was not a good day at the office for the secondary. I'm hoping that they could clean that up for the game against Seattle because Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett, they're going to carve you up big time, especially DK. He carved us up last year in particular. Secondary for the Seahawks, led by Jamal Adams and company. They did a really good job. DJ Reed, former 49er player, I'll give a shout out to him. He did a really good job in the meeting against the 49ers last year, and he's been a really great player for them in Seattle. There's not a big trend right there. 49er players going to Seattle, having a great career. Disappointing, but at the same time, I do love me some DJ Reed. I think he's done a great job for them in Seattle. But hands down, Seattle, and I'm hoping the 49ers, they can really clean up because they're going to have to for this matchup in particular. That's pretty much it. Pretty equal in terms of the edge ties. You know, I think this one, division matchup, they know each other so well, and for me, I probably know them a lot because I talk about them every single year twice, so I should pretty much know who I think has a better position edge coming into this matchup in particular. NFC West, this is going to be a big showdown, and this could really determine if you make the playoffs or not, and even have a chance to win the NFC West. It's too early to tell, but you want to win all your division games as much as possible. I want the 49ers to win this one in particular. Plus, it's at home. Please let me know what you guys think about position edge. Who do you give the initial edge per position for everybody? Please let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this, please like and subscribe. It's going to help me out a lot. I'll be catching you guys up tomorrow for Tuesday, the exciting one, prediction time. Bye, guys. Love y'all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Niners all day.